We're going to come back to that. The winner of the drop knee division, Dave Winchester. Currently out in the water, Jones Russell versus Eder Luciano. What do you got on these two guys?
Well, gosh, this is going to be a really interesting battle. You have Eder Luciano from Brazil, who basically trains all year in these kinds of conditions. So this is going to be a real challenge for James, who is kind of more of a guy who surfs with the power, but is also a very technical wave rider in himself. So it's going to be a good battle. It'll be a really interesting contrast of styles and approaches. But on one hand, you got the up-and-coming guy that's got a lot of momentum right now, James Russell, and Eder Luciano, on the other hand, is like, he didn't enter Mexico. He kind of asked, I was talking to him this morning, he's like, he felt pretty relaxed, and he's going into this with really not a lot to lose, but obviously he wants to make that top 16 spot, but
Yep.
he's got nothing to lose. He's just here relaxed, and these are his conditions, so it's going to be a challenge to knock him off.
We noticed that it could be an all Brazilian final if Eder Luciano wins this semifinal and if Yuri Valadao wins the other semifinal. So we might see an all Brazilian final today, but we will see. Let's see if Jones Russell can stop that from happening. So have you spent time in Sintra, the village?
Many times before, not this year, but
How many times have you been to Sintra?
12 or 13 times,
Oh,
I guess.
plenty.
Yeah,
Plenty of times.
a lot of times.
So give us a little quick insight on what it looks like here when the waves are going off.
Oh, when the waves are going off. Well, you got, right up the beach, 30 minutes, there's this place, Eder Luciano, that just fires.
Yeah.
Good reefs,
Yeah.
hollow waves, like good surf.
Yeah.
The beach breaks here are always tricky, but sometimes they do have, they have their day, and it can be a hollow beach break.
All right. With these conditions, 3 foot waves, the tide is still high right now, and it's going to start to drop. What are the riders going to expect later in the heats when the tide starts dropping?
Well, the trick about what I've learned in Europe is that the tide change is pretty dramatic. So you got huge tide swings, and your heat can actually change. The tides change in your heat dramatically enough to make a difference on the wave. So you watch, in Hubbard's heat, Jones got a pretty sick backflip on a section that didn't exist after that. There's like one other wave that broke there, and that was it. And then the tide just kind of took over, and the waves moved in on a different part of the sandbar. And so it's an always ever-changing spot, and it almost is a detriment to check it hours beforehand and look at it and study it, because it just changes every heat.
Sorry. We are down to the 23rd minute here in this semifinal. Now, this is the first wave of the heat. Eder Luciano in yellow.
Okay, so, it hits that little sandbar, it pops up a little bit, and then it gets into deeper water. So it's just making it a real challenge to try to get moves off. And if you can get a good move off, like I saw a couple guys hit it in some of the earlier heats, like Yuri and Mark got a good one, and even Jake got a good section. If you can get those sections and hit that, that's like makes all the difference. And that only happens in such a short little spot on that little sandbar out there. So you just really have to be in the exact spot at the exact right time, and just pray that you're right there and you're reading it correctly, so that you can go up to it and hit it and try to do something as spectacular as you can make it look.
There's a dead zone, a little dead section that a lot of the riders are trying to skim over and use as much speed to get over it and get in 1 or 2 moves on the inside shore break. Do you think it's worth the time to come all the way to the inside for that 1 or 2 moves?
I'd say in conditions like this, you're going to look for any little opportunity you can find. So I'd say for sure, if you can beach it and then find a section right on the shore. Jake found one earlier today, and I guess Yuri did a flip in there somehow. That can make the difference. So definitely, these kind of conditions, you're looking for any little opportunity that you can find, any little competitive edge that you can get. So length of ride plays into it. How many maneuvers you can do, obviously, is a lot of times a factor of the length of the ride. So yeah, beaching it today is definitely worthwhile. Yesterday, the day before, I'd say don't even bother.
Yeah. But it seems like all the other competitors have to do it, because these Brazilians are doing it all the way to the front, all the way to the beach. Eder Luciano up and riding.
So then again, he had a small little wave, did what he could. But I think it looked to me like that was kind of a tactical move to try to hold James off of the wave. You know, he had priority, and it was like, okay. But I think, you know, at this point they're probably both trying to feel it out and figure out exactly what's going on out there. It's ever changing. It's really tricky to read.
Well, since I got you on the mic and I talked to Cesar Bauer about this, your favorite Portuguese food?
Oh boy. Gosh, I've been having some great meals over here. That's why one of the reasons why I love it so much here. Food is awesome. Gosh, they have amazing. Just all their food's really good, and it's real. Generally speaking, it's real wholesome, unprocessed, really good.
Have you heard of bacalhau?
Yes, I had a great bacalhau dinner the first night I was here with David Duarte and his close family friends. And yeah, that's like a codfish. It's pretty good. Yeah,
amazing.
Really good.
So, do you have any hookups to be able to get some bacalhau delivered to our commentators' booth?
We might be able to arrange something.
All right, pull out that iPhone, get some phone calls going, because I could use a big dish of bacalhau right now to carry through. This is the semifinal, heat number 1, out in the water. Jones Russell in red, Eder Luciano in yellow. We are at the 20-minute mark, and Jones Russell right now with only 1 wave under his belt, 3.25, and Eder Luciano with 2 waves, both low scoring, a 1.0 and a 1.9. Still plenty of time in this heat. Top 2 waves will be scored, and it is a 10-wave maximum out in the semifinal. So we are going to see the final being set up right now. The winner of this heat and the winner of the next heat will meet up in the final.
Well, it looks like Jones has a little bit of an edge here with a 3.25. I mean, that's not a big score, but in conditions like this, that might be a counting wave.
Yeah.
Here we go. Looks like a little set coming in.
Looks like Jones Russell.
Yeah, up and riding. Yep. Kind of found a little pocket there. Little roll, good. You know, in between the sections, you don't want to go for a spin and then lose your speed. You can see here he's really fighting to try to get in, and it's just not allowing it. And I also say, you know, in these conditions, it is difficult even for guys like Eder and Yuri, and to a lot of degree, they can be neutralized if they can't flip and they can't find little sections to pop off of. You know, just base carving skills and turns can outscore them. And so, you know, their equipment is different too. You know, generally speaking, they have a little bit boards that are a little bit. In Eder's case, I mean, he's a big guy. Like, you'd be surprised how big that guy is and what he can do in small ways. But his boards are huge. They're like giant light bulbs. And so he can spin off of anything. He can flip off of just about anything. But it's hard to turn those boards. And that's where I think Jones has like a little bit of an advantage. Through if it is going to be one of these ways that just kind of like forms and you can work it a little bit and kind of get a little bit of an edge and some speed, you can kind of combine your turns and spins and kind of mix it up in a probably a better way.
All right, as the guys wait patiently, check this out, Stuart. The guys dug into the hard drives and found a video clip of you explaining. You know what? Let's just take a look at that clip right now.
That's a pretty deep question, actually. I guess, you know, I think it just gives you access. It's like a key or a doorway into a kinetic world of beauty. You know, the ocean's kind of depth and beauty is unrivaled anywhere, you know. I mean, I love to hike and I love to go in the mountains, but imagine if those mountains and those hills and those different caves that you went through, like, were all moving in kinetic. And then add to that, they're translucent and you're actually in the medium, so you become part of the water. And bodyboards just give you that access to experience all those little facets and all that beauty that's out there.
Beautiful. I love those clips that the
Whoa,
IBA guys
that
are
was a
putting
big roll
together.
by
Check
Eder.
this out. Eder Luciano live action.
So yeah, he's just gonna try to wait, kind of we're in the power zone of this, and just pack whatever he can pack in. You can see him kind of like moving around on his board, trying to forward, trying to find a little anything on that wave to try to get a little bit more power to connect. But
Eder Luciano,
yeah,
nice
so
wave right there.
yeah, you just saw there that little clip. I was kind of going a little ethereal there, but anyway, yeah, you know, what's interesting about these kind of conditions is you got this energy that's traveling all across the whole Atlantic and just arriving in this one little spot at this one little time that Eder just shared that little moment. And it's kind of interesting when you think back to some kind of where the waves originate from. And yeah, just, you know, people see just the surface, but there's a lot more to it, you know, that's involved. And it's cool to see guys like Eder just kind of like tap into that at different little moments, and Jones as well in this heat.
And if everybody can tap into it, if they understand what's going on, it'll shine through.
Yeah, I mean, if you spend enough time out in the water, you're gonna slowly but surely get formed into someone that is able to kind of discern the little packets of energy coming in, the little areas of surf, little waves. So I guess Jones has got another pretty solid wave of 4.75 for these conditions. You know, that's good.
Well, Jones is on fire right now. I mean, he in his quarterfinal heat number 1, he took out Jeff Hubbard, who just dominates in these kind of conditions and can turn around and dominate in 6 to 8 foot Zicatella, even 10-foot Zicatella. So it's good to see that Jones Russell, he's not losing any steam with guys like Jeff Hubbard and Eder Luciano in this case. He's on fire.
Yeah, he is. And he's focused. He's super determined. And, you know, when you get into that mode and you get into that rhythm, it's like you just feel you're unstoppable. And that confidence just kind of rolls over from heat to heat. So he's in a good place mentally right now. And, you know, of course, he knows he's got work to do, but heck, he's doing well, especially against Eder, who's a small wave master.
Yes. I talked to Eder this morning, and I'm like, so are you ready for this competition? Looking out into the 2 to 3 foot waves here in Praia Grande. And he pretty much said, I'm ready for these conditions. These are the conditions I train in every day in Brazil. So, again, Eder Luciano from Brazil. A lot of the Brazilians actually train in these conditions because they know they may end up in a situation like this.
Well,
So
a lot of the events are like this down there as well. Not all of them, but there's a few. You know, they'll set up a date and they'll set up a beach, and if there's swell, there's swell, and if there's not, there's not. And a lot of times there's not swell, so they'll be surfing heats like this frequently there.
All right, waiting patiently on the outside, Jones Russell in the red jersey, who's been on fire throughout this competition, against Eder Luciano in the yellow jersey. So, talking about the equipment these guys are riding, you just mentioned Eder's width of his board, a lot wider compared to Jones Russell, more narrow. But what else is involved? Do they have stringers? What type of cores? Are they using mesh?
Looks like Jones is.
Let's take a look.
Just kicking in here. Like he's going to try to find whatever little, and boy, that wave is really flat. So that's a tricky wave to ride. So just doing those little spins and stuff becomes really quite a feat. You know, you look at it and go, God, you should just be spinning, but it's hard. You can't do it.
A lot of bumps, a lot of backwash, it seems like, coming up.
This one might link. That was kind of a risky little spin there, and it you know, didn't link as a result. Yeah, so I mean, generally, you know, the water's pretty cold here. Oh, is that Eder doing a roll?
It's sheer power, a lot of power.
No, it's really difficult to link it still because the tide's still pretty high. I think it's high at 3, so we're just coming off a high tide. So really tricky to get out. And yeah, going back to the equipment, I'm not exactly sure what kind of stringers they got going, but I would say in these waves you kind of want something light and stiff and somewhat flexible. I would say you don't want it too stiff, so they'd probably be running, you know, propylene cores with stringers, and you know, there's different setups you could use to accomplish different results. I'm not sure exactly what Eder's got in his little machine there, but you know, you'd be looking for something that has the traits that is kind of real buoyant. Doesn't necessarily have to be really fast, but maybe quick and low power waves. So a lot of surface area, a lot of buoyancy.
Okay. You want that to be able to drive through and get enough speed in these flat sections and be able to hit the lip and pull off these 360s. This is it. We are up to speed. 11 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Eder Luciano has 4 waves. His top 2 waves, a 4.0 and a 6.25. He is in first place with a total combined score of 10.25. Jones Russell, he has a 9.0. His 2 high scoring waves are a 4.75 and a 4.25. All he needs right now is a 5.51 wave to take that first place spot away from Eder Luciano. Definitely doable.
Oh, for sure. I mean, 5.5 for any of these guys that can do that in their sleep. You know, but in these conditions, that is an additional challenge. So it really gets down to the wave. You know, if you can get the right wave out here, you can get that score, no problem. But to try to get that wave is a whole other thing altogether.
Exactly. So a lot of these pros, I know, I've been in a situation where I would look out to conditions like this, and I wouldn't go out. But if you're going to be a professional at this level in these conditions on this tour, and you look at the ocean and you see these conditions, they have to.
Yeah, I mean, it really shows the guys that train in all conditions. They're going to be the ones that can surf in all conditions. So, you know, a lot of times guys will look at the beach and just say, it's not that good. I'm not going to go out. But you know, if you're serious about it, you're going to go out and train no matter what. You know, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
I seen Jeff Hubbard in Hawaii roll up, and it was sandy beach. It was small. It was maybe 1 to 2 foot, but without hesitation, he grabbed his board and he was out there having fun on 2 to 3 foot. Of course, he was ripping it apart, you know, doing 4 belly spins to everybody else's 1 spin. So it was cool to see that Jeff Hubbard is one of those guys who's focused and takes the time to train in small conditions.
Yeah, Hub is he's really put a lot of time and energy and effort into this year's tour.
Yeah.
You know,
It's showing.
I'll show up at the same spots he's at. He's already out, and I'll leave, and he's still out there. So it's like you know, he's really committed, and yeah, like you say, it's showing. You know, he's on a really good roll this year. You know, he ran into a obstacle today and kind of left the door open for a few guys, which makes it all interesting. But yeah, he's really focused.
All right, coming up next, we see on our screen that is Amaury Laverne, who is absolutely flexible, crazy man. And just looking at him stretch makes my spine hurt. But this guy...
These guys are so, I mean, they're so fit. You know, at this level, you got to be really pretty on it. And they're just as fit as any elite athlete in any sport. I mean, they're really good athletes, these guys. And, you know, it's impressive to be around them. You know, they're so passionate about it, and they're so committed and so good at what they do. It's really cool to hang out with them.
I think history is being made because in the bodyboarding arena, because now you have these athletes who are spending 100% of their time to be as fit as possible and as mentally prepared as possible.
Oh, little set coming in here for Jones. He could get the score he needs. That was a pretty smart move to roll into the power zone, because that left is pretty mushy. Decent spin. He had a really good technique there, crossing his legs and just kind of flowing with this wave pretty well. That might have, that was tricky. I think that was probably not a bad idea, because at least he got a spin, and had he tried to make it, I don't think he would have made it. So that was probably a good call. But that was a pretty good move considering the wave. I mean, it's pretty mushy.
Well, Jones is chasing a 5.51. I don't know if that was going to be that wave that he wanted, so he's going to get back out there. He has 8 minutes remaining in this heat. So Jones Russell from Breakwall. Have you been to this beach?
Yes, I have.
Tell us about it.
Well, there's a couple little spots where he lives, and they're all like little training grounds. There's a bunch of really good riders coming from that area. Kingy and you know, just a whole slew of guys that are really, really good in that zone. And you know, it's just a little hotbed of talent over there.
Check it out. This is the competitors area, 3 stories above the sand, overlooking the semifinal, number 1 in the men's division here in Praia Grande, Sintra, Portugal. Putting his head down, trying to get out quicker is Jones Russell in the red jersey. He knows there's some waves coming in out the back, so he's going to try to get out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it looks like it's he's tightening the gap. So his highest scoring wave is better than Eder's lowest scoring wave. So that's not a bad position to be in if he needs up. But Eder's up and okay.
Nice roll out the back from Eder. A lot of power needed to punch through that lip, and he did it. Coming to the inside, and he finds another section right there. Again, pure power on lower body power, helping to project up and over. This is Eder Luciano, the competitive ripper, just taking it all the way inside. And will he make it? It doesn't look like, well.
Oh, he might. He's kicking hard. He's trying. Oh, just misses it. But if you watch that ride, I mean, he was kind of staying where the whitewater was the whole time and just really trying to be where the most energy was. Because, you know, to try to go outside of in the open face is you'll do a nice turn, but you'll burn all your speed and all your power, and you'll just end up going nowhere. So you really just got to stay right where the pocket is and just slide up and down and right around that little zone the whole time and just try to move and pivot from that little region right where the power is.
Let's take another look. Talk us through
so,
this one.
You know, he got a little bit of boost of speed. That was a nice reverse. You know, that's pretty tough to do on those, especially his board's pretty wide. And he's waiting here for this wave to form up. You can see him starting to turn, and he just projects. If you watch his body, he totally extends his arm and tries to really get some more projection. Then he finds another little power pocket and another good reverse, backs himself right back into the whitewater. And yeah, that was a high scoring wave of the heat. That was a 7.5. So that was well ridden.
There you go, the latest scores in this heat. Eder Luciano with the last scoring wave of a 7.5, and now he's way ahead. Look at this, though. It's not over yet for Jones Russell.
Oh, big roll through the lip on the right. Smooth reverse spin. Now he's just looking. You'll see him take his head back and forth, looking to try to find where that wave is going to reconnect, if it can connect. And no, he doesn't. He's shattered. Oh,
that's tough. I mean,
tough.
We've seen Udi Valadao in his heat in the quarterfinals. He was making it happen. He knew exactly where to be, where to stay on his board, and he was making it all the way to the inside.
So tide peaked about 40 minutes ago, and you know, could be part of the factor. Like I was saying earlier, you can't really watch it right before your heat because it's going to change during your heat. So if it looked like guys were connecting during your heat, or before your heat, chances are you might be able to do that just the beginning, and that's it. And after that, if the tide's coming up, man, you're not going to connect.
Yeah. So here we go. Udi Valadao in the red jersey coming up for semifinal number 2. He'll be going against Amaury Laverne. He is your current world champion. And Udi Valadao, a former world champion, I believe in 2008, Udi Valadao is the Brazilian
former world champion. This is going to be a major battle.
Yes, this next semifinal, it's going to be pretty intense to see these two guys going head-to-head in
both
semifinal.
fierce competitors.
Yeah.
Amaury's super competitive. Yuri's super competitive, especially in these conditions. Like, you know, this just gets down to sheer competitive drive.
Exactly. So we've been mentioning it throughout the entire broadcast, and we just want to make sure everybody understands that this first half of the Grand Slam series, yes, we've been blessed with unreal waves throughout Western Australia, mainland Mexico, Hawaii, and Chile.
Chile.
Yes.
And
Chile. Now, to be a world champion, you got to be able to compete in all conditions. And this is case in point, Sintra, Praia Grande, 2 to 3 foot. But all the riders who we've seen kill it in these big conditions are now showing what they can do in the small waves.
Yeah, I actually find it harder to surf in the smaller waves a lot of times. You know, the techniques happen quicker, and they're more subtle, and it's really tricky. I've always struggled in smaller surf, and I've spent probably more time training in small surf than in big surf. I've surfed more free sessions, but as far as just like going out and kind of training, man, you know, back in the PSA days and back in the days where I surfed small surf a lot,
yep.
It was even the original tour when it started was small, so it's like you're always surfing in small conditions. You got to really be on it and real fast, really quick reactions. And I actually think that it's really helpful for your surfing to be a competent small wave surfer as well, because your timing is really improved. You know, you have really good timing, and your reaction, your reflexes are quicker, and I think that it really is helpful for surfing in general. So, you know, if you have this you know, misconception about, oh yeah, only big waves or this or that, you know, that's in my opinion, you know, if you're going to be a complete professional, you need to be good in all conditions, and that means training in all conditions, and that means being good in all conditions too, like small waves, big waves, any waves. You know, it should just be, doesn't matter where, whenever, and whoever, you know, it's on.
It was like Jones Russell was taking a peek at that wave right there, but not much there for him. So back he goes to the outside.
Now you notice, like before Yuri was on the beach, kind of like everyone gives their board like a quick flex test, because you just kind of want to get a feel for how that thing's going to bend in the water. And you know, if you leave your board on the beach just like 10 or 15 minutes here, it gets pretty warm and soft, and then once you drop it in the water, it can change again. So you just kind of want to like familiarize yourself with that flex prior to getting in the water. I've just been kind of noticing that a lot on this event.
Also, on small wave conditions and small conditions, a lot more tactics become involved too. The priority system, we've seen it earlier where yesterday, Michael Novi tried to use the priority system to his advantage, and it just backfired on him, and he lost it in the last few minutes of his heat. And now in the small conditions, priority system could be in your advantage as well.
Totally. Well, Eder Luciano on to the final. Super stoked.
Wow. So we will see if somebody makes it to the inside. Check this out. We have the winner of semifinal heat number 1. Downstairs was Shaggy. Shaggy, where you at?
Thanks, Manny. I'm here with semi-finalist heat winner Eder Luciano. Eder, felicidades, congratulations.
Thank you.
Looks really hard out there. How hard is it?
The heat was so hard again. The waves is so fat. It's very difficult to take the set. And the other heat was just right and now just left. And you can take the set because the waves there is a little more power. And I can do it and take 2 waves, and the best score 7 points and a 6 point. And I take the priority and stay relaxed, just waiting for the set. I'm very, very happy with this result. Let's go to the final now. I think Yuri go too with me, a Brazilian.
A double Brazil final, is that what you're dreaming for?
Yeah, it's so good. Again, Yuri win in 2006 and I stay in 2nd place. And I think this year I want to win this contest.
You want to get one back on Yuri, huh?
Yeah, Yuri is a very, very, very hard competitor, but let's go to the outside.
Congratulations, Eder.